camera.
See, there's a picture of Miss Lori, okay?
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, sir.
Okay, my name is Lori Prescott, and I'm a student at ECU in the counseling department. And just want to learn about your family, get to know your family more. And so, does anybody want to tell me a little bit about your family and what comprises your family?
Okay, maybe talk about Chris first.
Okay.
Chris, can you say your name?
My name is Lloyd.
No. What's your name?
My name is Chris Gable.
That's right, Chris Gable. How old are you now?
I'm 21 years old.
That's right. Can you look at Miss Lori when you talk to her?
You're 21 years old. When's your birthday, Chris?
May 9th.
May 9th.
My birthday?
My birthday is May 9th.
There you go. Good job. Where do you live, Chris?
956 Overview Road, Louisville, North Carolina.
That's very good. Do you know your phone number?
252-671-0481.
Good job, Chris. Give me 5.
Okay, and now 3. Chris is the middle child. Gilbert, you want to do your own honors?
Sure, why not?
Well, tell me about your Gilbert
feature.
And what are you?
I'm Gil. I'm 22. Going to Western. I'm planning to go to Western for a degree in psychology, specializing in the field of the special needs.
And you graduated from Pamlico, right?
I graduated from Pamlico High School.
And
yes.
you've gone to Craven.
I've gone to Craven for 2 years now.
And the baby.
Yeah. I'm Trisha. I'm 16. I'm the baby of the family. I'm a junior in high school for 2 more days. Thank you.
Yeah, scary.
Yeah, I can't wait to be a senior next year. And yeah.
And who do you consider the strong one in the family? Strong-willed, I should say.
Chris.
When he wants something so stubborn until he gets it.
Or
until mommy tells him that.
What does he do that enables him to get what he wants?
He acts like a 3-year-old.
And he won't stop talking until he gets what he wants. And after he talks for about 10 minutes, it kind of starts to get annoying if he repeats the same thing over and over and over and over again.
I know, Chris has autism, right?
Yeah.
Has that been, what is that you think has changed the dynamics or changed your family and make it different than maybe a family without anyone with autism? How do you think?
I like how the kids look at me.
No.
Yeah, go ahead, go.
I don't think it really did.
Do you think it's any different? Do you think it's any stronger or weaker or more close?
I think it's made us closer because we all work to support him, and we have to work with each other to support him. So I think it made us a little bit closer that way.
Good way to put it, Trish. I think it's made us stronger as a family. I think it's made us appreciate more as a family. Because we work together to help him make even the smallest strides, and then when he makes that achievement, it's such a major victory for the whole family. I mean, how many people do you know is posting on Facebook that their 21-year-old child said their mom was home, you know, and have these guys telling all their friends because it's happened, you know.
So you see those growths, and it just makes that everybody just bond together because there's growths in him and everybody. So do you ever get jealous, Gilbert? Or in the past, kids growing up, were there times that you were jealous?
I'm still jealous.
What part of you, when you say that, what, jealous because he has autism and gets attention and you don't? Oh God.
Nah, I could care less about the attention. I'm jealous about the fact that he gets he doesn't have to face the way the world is, how corrupt the world is. He lives in his own world. I would love to be able to do that.
And not to deal with all the issues around, is what you're saying?
Yeah, I would love that ability.
And that's something I've heard from Gil since he's probably in middle school. He started saying how it wasn't fair. Chris doesn't have to, you know, whatever it is, be a timeout, be a kid's teasing him at school, and that was a big thing in middle school. Chris, yeah. Gil would be upset because they would pick on Chris, and then he realized that, well, Chris didn't give a holy hoot and darn, and then he started wanting, and so I've heard this from him for quite a while.
And what was your reaction, Trish? Were you ever jealous? Or?
I've been jealous of him sometimes, but past elementary school, I think, about 5th grade, I was like, okay, well, this is a normal part of my life, and I just gotta learn how to deal with it. So I stopped being jealous and started helping around middle school, because then it's like, okay, well, what can I do to help? Instead of just, can I take it? Can I get that attention back? Instead, it's more or less, how can I help it?
I guess as being the youngest, usually the youngest is the one that gets more attention or craves more attention, so that would have been hard on you. And Gilbert, you're the oldest, so you're one that is the more one that looks after.
He's been very much the protector.
And that's usually the first child is. And then the baby wants the attention, so that would have automatically made the roles a little bit, make you feel a little bit different, I think.
And that made it hard as a parent,
Yeah.
dealing with the special needs. And he had medical issues. And then I have one that is quote unquote normal, or what that word is worth.
Right.
You know, but to make sure that she got what she needed, as well as these two and their daddy getting what he needed. So that made dynamics quite interesting as well. But you benefited a lot. I'm sorry.
But, you know,
No.
like, as
I'm
growing
in the middle of
up,
an interview with Lori, remember?
I was
I'll call you
always
later.
jealous of Chris because, like Mom said, they got more attention than I did because they had all the medical stuff. And younger, I didn't really understand that. It was more like, hey, they get to go out and eat lunch after their appointments. I never do that. You know, I was the healthy child of the family so much. And so I never got to hang out time with Mom and Dad. I never got to go out and eat lunch.
Later.
So it was odd
Later.
because I am the baby, and you know I see other people and their families. I'm the baby of the family, so you know I get spoiled. I didn't, not very much, but you know.
Some others might disagree about that.
I know, I'm kind of looking at Mom here going, right?
Now,
Yeah.
how did you feel as far as how other people perceived your family? How do you think that has fit in? Do you think it's been easy, or has it maybe helped at times, or have y'all have felt any different because of perceptions, or has it been okay? Just kind of curious.
When I was younger, it wasn't. I used to get into a lot of fights in school because they'd be picking on Chris. And just a lot of it was he couldn't defend himself, so as the older brother, I defended him. And I'd get into quite a bit of fights about it. I think it was harder on me because being the oldest, I'm automatically going to want to defend my younger brother. But then at the same time, he couldn't defend his own self. It made it even more, the desire to protect him even more grew stronger. Just the comments that were made, just the way people treated him sometimes, up north and down here, it was rather difficult for me sometimes to sit there and just take it.
When you have a cashier on Food Line tell you can't you get that effing kid to shut up and use the F word, I mean that sort of does make you, give you some issues with how the world perceives things.
Did that happen often, or was it more, I guess
Empathy.
rare? Was that rare? Did that happen to you?
When he was younger, I would say it would happen more frequently. Because of his, he has MR as well as the autism. So we had a lot of developmental delays. And 4 or 5 years old, he was still having a hard time
Very
walking
good.
distances. So if we went to the, and plus behaviors because of the autism. So if we went to the mall, we quite often put him in a stroller or something just to be able to get through the mall as a family and do a shopping we had to do, not actually going there to work for a therapeutic reason. And we would have people come up and say, if you get that kid out of the stroller, he won't be so freaking fat. Or get comments about what our parenting techniques would be like, because he'd be laying in the middle of the row. He'd be laying in the middle of the aisle, rolling, kicking, screaming, having behavior issues because of whatever. Either I wasn't giving him what he wanted, or because the noise was bothering him, or the lights were the wrong type of lights. Lowe's and their fluorescent lighting was extremely hard for him to handle. And when he was younger, people seemed to feel a lot freer to come up and make comments about how our parenting must be bad because of his behaviors or whatever. As he's gotten bigger, the vocalizations have gotten a lot less. Still get looks.
Do you think that's partly because people now realizing what autism is, or do you think that's just because he's older and people realize because he is older it is different? He's not just being a child and acting out.
I think a lot of it, people might be afraid because of his height.
Yeah,
I've had a few of my own friends comment that his height scares them a bit.
Happy.
Yes, we're happy, buddy.
Hey.
I think it sort of boils down to comfort level. People seem to feel freer giving their own personal advice. I mean, you know yourself in the store when you're pregnant or you see pregnant women, people are always going up and touching the baby and all the baby stories and whatnot. I think there's more of a comfort level there that they feel that they can and entitled to share their labor experiences that were 15 hours, and all that type of rot. And as young mothers, I think that people feel more comfortable with it. But now, he's obviously different, and I think people are not comfortable with it, and because they're not comfortable with it, they're not as free with the comments. Because they do realize now that this is something that's wrong. It's not bad parenting, it's not, and the people aren't comfortable with that wrongness. Am I making sense?
Or at least not openly. I know last summer we were training a new mentor. Me and her, I was helping him train. We went to the library and they had to take Chris to the bathroom. There was a female mentor, so they took Chris in. Chris is wearing his ID badge and all that. A woman comes out of the restroom complaining how it's not right that a man's allowed to go into the restroom and there's another woman in there even though he's got the ID badge on. And they went up to the librarians and were complaining about him. I'm standing there at the front. I'm not saying anything. They don't seem to realize
Thank you.
any connection.
Thank you.
But once she left and once Chris was out of the library, they started talking right there and in the open about how they need to watch Chris and all that and stuff like that. And it's like, you didn't want to say that while he was in here, but he's gone now. And you don't seem to realize I'm his brother. So I think it's a lot of behind closed doors.
Good job,
Where
quiet.
they're not going to hear. They'll say what they were going to say. And if they don't, but if they realize that you're part of the family, they're not going to say anything either until they're sure you're gone.
So you don't think it's people being nice
Overall,
it's just don't want to make sure you don't hear what they're thinking.
They've learned to be a little more tactful.
As far as Chris is school, he's in, can you explain some of his school and what's going on?
Chris is situated in a separated classroom. He has minimal exposure to the rest of the school, which is what we feel is best for him, and which he has proven is the best type of learning environment for him to actually make some progress. This is his third year of being in 12th grade. He will actually graduate next year when he's 22. The word I wanted was self-contained classroom. I used segregated. It was self-contained. But he's had the same teacher and aide since we moved down here in '97. And when we first came down here, autistic traits were very pronounced. getting him to spend any time in our world versus being in his world was minimal.
Sleepy.
So through a lot of work, we've gotten him to the point where he is verbalizing now. He never used to talk before. He's got speech. So when we were praying that he learned to talk, we never thought to pray that he'd learn to be silent. So we never found the mute button when we got the speech.
Laughing.
Yes, Mom is laughing. But he's in a classroom that usually contains between 4 to 5 other children that need to be in a separate setting with behaviors and learning abilities along his lines, and then they have students that are pulled out of the regular classes come in for extra assistance in there, off and on to do that.
Good.
And Gilbert, when you're talking about things that happen and what's happening to Chris, you totally kind of changed. Like you still have a lot of, I don't know, you're not happy with still the way people perceive and treat Chris. How do you deal with that? How do you deal with it? How do you get over it, I guess, because you kind of have to know people are, going to do things they shouldn't do.
Yeah.
Is that, how do you do it?
Good, Miss Lori.
Since most of the time I'm with someone else, I just ignore it. I walk away.
I think good dog.
When I'm on my own,
And then iPad picture.
I get a little angry and I will go up and I'll talk to them.
You try to explain to them what the
I
situation
do explain
Good.
that he does have autism, that what they're doing is not right in anyone's eyes. But like with all my friends, I tell them before they even come over the one time that they make one comment about my brother's behaviors in any negative way, they will be kicked out of my house and they will not be welcomed back.
And then I'll be
I
back.
don't have to worry about it. All my friends have incorporated Chris into our own daily lives. I'll hold parties here and Mom will say, here, let me get Chris out of the way, and they're all yelling at my mom to let him stay.
Yeah, you have 20 teenage bodies laying all over the
Slay.
floor with 4 TVs in this room and all different game
Good job,
systems,
Slay.
and Chris is sitting there watching one of them.
Good job, Slay.
And they're fine with it. It's funny though, what changes have to take place in our lives versus what we would picture a normal family. I'm not phrasing it right, I'm not good with words. But like, Gilbert was always able to have friends over with the understanding that we sort of had to keep things a little separated and whatnot. And I would explain to the mothers when Chris was younger that Chris liked to come out of the bathroom with no clothes on, but it wasn't, And with mothers and boys, that was sort of, it wasn't the most comfortable, but I could understand and accept. Trisha, for the most part, had to go to her friends' house. They could not come here because I could not count on him not just standing up and pulling off all his clothes and running around like a free bird. So I think for the longest time she'd have friends over on her birthday for a sleepover, and that was it. And when that went on, we would have a mentor, or we would have Daddy or somebody one-on-one with Chris, where the adult did not leave his side.
Or I'd stay hidden in my bedroom.
Or she would keep all the girls in the bedroom. I mean, he doesn't do any inappropriate behavior. There's no sexual advances or anything like that. He's got a 2-year-old's mentality. He likes to just fly around in the breeze, and there's nothing wrong with it as far as he's concerned. But like I said, with Gilbert, as he was growing up, it was more explaining to the parents that this might happen, that this is, But with Trisha's, it was more explaining to the parents that we're not comfortable with the girls coming over, or having the parents tell me they're not comfortable with the girls coming over because of the chance of.
And we still do that today. Like I have a few girl friends come over, and I'll tell them, look, you gotta understand one thing. Sometimes my brother will come flying out of the bathroom butt naked, biggest smile on his face, not caring in the world. If you're offended by that, I'm sorry. You don't have to hang out at my place. They're fine with it. It's happened maybe once, and they laughed. They said, "Oh, he's enjoying himself." I said, "Yeah, it looks like it, huh?" There he goes, running through the kitchen.
Yeah, because he usually does when he pulls it. He'll come galloping from that bathroom and go flying back to the
And as
bathroom.
he's running, I'm going, "Hey, Mom! Naked boy running through the house!"
But I mean, and seriously, it happens enough that we're trying to figure out how to frost the windows so that we can still get light and we can still see outside. But now that they've built that not parking garage, but with all those things, when we first moved here, it wasn't an issue. There wasn't a lot of people around.
Good.
And he was a lot younger. Now he's 21, so that when he walks in front of the windows with no clothes on, everything is visible. And we've got people over there that can see it now. So we're trying to figure out how to frost the front windows to maintain on both sides of the... Which is something most families don't really have to...
Yeah, not very
Worry
often.
about
That is a different concern. Most families.
Yeah. Definitely not something I thought of when I thought about having kids. I'd have to worry about that.
Yeah, that's for sure. As far as the future goes, what do you think?
Good.
What do you see
Mama.
yourself or the family in 5 years? 10
Mama.
years? Or is it
Good.
something you try not
I'm
to
not.
think about?
Like 5 years from now, I see us all maybe living separate, but definitely still coming together very often. You know, just have hang time with everybody, including Chris, or, you know, just going out and doing fun things with everybody. I really don't see us staying that far apart because we're all so tied closely with us. I really don't see us moving that far apart. Or at least not having Skype or something, so we can talk to them.
That's important.
Good.
I don't know. I really don't like to think.
Yes, see, ham.
I like to live my days day by day.
Mama.
Because you really don't know what's going to happen. In 5 years, you know, it's not one of those things I like to think about, but Mom might be gone and we'll have to find somewhere for Chris to go. Maybe he's living with Grandma.
It's running her.
No one knows. So
Happy.
I live day by day.
Thank you, Mama.
I think that's the hardest part with the future.
Thank you, Miss Lori.
Especially now as Grant's not in the picture. Because then I
And
had to
Clay.
make real decisions about
Clay.
who, what, where, you know, would have custody, what would happen. And what we've ended up doing for right now until these guys are old enough to decide what they want to do.
Good.
Chris is going to go to my sister if something were to happen. With my sister Beth receiving custody, full custody, until Gilbert or Tricia decide that they want or are physically able to be guardians.
To be gone.
Outside of that, I don't deal with the future at all.
Good,
You know, I really don't. There's too much. With being a new widow to start with, okay, granted it's been a year, but there's still a lot of lifestyle changes happening and all that. And with everything with him, and he's going away to college this year. She's already looking at applying at colleges. She's talking her jobs and all this type of rot. I deal with what's on my plate today. Deal with tomorrow when it gets here, because tomorrow always changes anyway. You know, especially, and again with ours, family. Because it's not just us. You know, we've got Mom who lives here now, and that's still all up in constant turmoil. Debbie down the road with her 3 autistic kids. I mean, they're here constantly. She needs coverage you know, Gil's sick. She has to take him to urgent care. Who's watching her kids? Nobody wants to babysit our autistic kids. So that's a family thing you've got to be able to fall back and forth on. You can't. There's no way I can look forward to the future.
Mama.
I shouldn't say that. I'm not that, it's not that I'm not looking forward to the future, I can't plan for the future. So I deal with what's today, or this week, when I open my date book, and that's about it. And Chris lives totally in the moment, don't you? iPad picture maybe later.
Okay, well, I'll end the session now. I just really want to kind of get a feel for your family and what each of you do and each of your roles in the family. And we'll probably meet again in a couple weeks and go back over some of the things that you've just thought of actually and see how that's made the family changes and all that. So thank y'all.
Not a problem.